Town is crying out, fuck all the trends. Bickers grabbing coffee with some underground gems. It's Rogues FM. Rogues FM.
Ladies and germs of all shapes and sizes, welcome to Rogues FM. Tonight's episode's a very fun one. I got James from Bearheads popping in, and we chat about a bunch of things from the Watford rock scene through to all the various bands he's been in prior and what brought him to Bearheads now, including recording with Steph Carter and splitting your jeans to Lionel Richie. I'm not joking. It happens to the best of us. So, if you're interested, grab a drink, have a seat, sit down. Let's get into it. Yes.
Hello.
Hey, you're right. So you were just saying to me that this is the most bandy related thing you've ever done in lockdown, which I think already answers one of the questions I was going to ask you already.
Yeah.
This is the most related thing. What did you mean by that? Have you just not done anything music related, or you've just been enjoying the proper time off and just coasting and not caring?
I mean, obviously I've still been playing, we've been writing and doing bits and pieces.
Yeah.
That really seems quote unquote productive. Which is weird because it's as much as I think you don't need to be productive during this time, there is also an element of I do kind of miss it. I miss having the fun band stuff, and I think you were just saying as well, you forget almost oh yeah, I did have hobbies and things I enjoyed doing before the world ended kind of thing.
It's this is a good thing for me, not only to talk to you and my mates and all that, but also just to not remind people of there's a scene, but just to know that we're all still here, we're getting through just as much as everyone else, but we're not falling to the pressure of having to think, okay, I've got 3 months in the house, I've now got to write the album of the year. No, you don't. Exactly. You don't have to do shit. You don't have to do shit. And but also if you're feeling all right and keeping care of yourself, that's all that matters right now. How are you doing then?
I think to be honest, fine. It feel the whole Groundhog Day thing is sort of what's a little bit, and it does get to the point where you're I am doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah. But equally, thankfully, me and my girlfriend have just been able to make it fun. Just sort of just keep it interesting. We have I think we do I think we do. I know we do. I'm there, but we do
You're in the house. I hope you're not.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, we do all do cocktail nights with friends on Skype and stuff. Taking turns to make cocktails and stuff, and it's just trying to, as much as possible, make the weirdness of it kind of feel a bit like a novelty.
Yeah.
To an extent.
It's weird.
Before you get crushed by the existential crisis, this is sort of
oh, dude. Don't. It for me, my day is always going great until I look at the news. Yeah. That's always me. It's I've just started avoiding it now. I've started unfollowing all the pages on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. And it's just as soon as I remind it, and it's bad, it's ignorant to say, because we're very grateful to say that we can just zone out of it. But I think if you're constantly putting it in front of you, that's what's going to bring you down and put you more in that dread. And that's what you don't. That's the last thing you want right now. Because
it's been. I always find I've always considered kind of be kind of a double-edged sword that, because I think sometimes. You can be in your cocoon right now and you're super happy and you're your little routine. It's okay, cool, this is lockdown, but we're in this little box, I guess. And then you're oh, but it's great to connect with people on the outside world. And then you'll see something on Facebook, it's immediately triggered.
Yeah. And it's I think there's a level where you should know what's going on. You should keep yourself informed, but you can overdose on that. And it's you start looking at the Sun, who are just chucking out all the deadlines and all the headlines, all the capital letters being death capital, global emergency. And yeah, it is, but Jesus Christ, this is not a bloody 3D James Cameron film. This is real life. We're all just getting along. This does not have to be. I mean, it's always been the case of everything in the news. Yeah. You don't have to fucking shove that shit down our throats.
Exactly.
And pen it the 3-hour epic Endgame fucking Marvel.
All explosions.
Literally. I don't need Boris Johnson snapping his fingers and dusting everyone away. I don't want to see that. I mean, there's definitely an edit of that somewhere on Reddit or some shit of Boris Johnson as Thanos, just fucking.
Doing the clip, yeah.
But I don't want to know.
I think weirdly for me as well, I think sometimes it's easy to as a band with like social media have this constant pressure of like content and like,
yes,
and it's hard because you want to like social media in general is a bit of a weird one for us because I think we've never really been like into social media. Like we've always been on it, like you can't not be involved. It's a bit of a weird thing for us as a band, like sort of have to sort of use it in a way of like it feels really like sounds crap, but like on rock and roll in a way to be like doing like some stuff. But it's that thing of like people do it well all the time and it depends on how you handle it. But I think it's that pressure at a time like this to not feel like, oh, I have to put content out or I have to be do it because you want to do it. And I think that boils down to the same reason why we're doing any of this kind of stuff is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And this isn't like I'm doing this not because of like I want more content for the social feed. I'm doing this just because it's fun. That's the only reason. Like this is just a really fun thing to do. There's the worry, and I feel that. And I was chatting to High Regard last week about this. That worry of like not having enough content, especially now from like old gigs or whatever, to the point where you're just going to be repeating yourself. And because like even if people like your band and like what you do, like whatever the aesthetic or whatever you bring to it, there's still that fear that if you just keep posting the same thing, people are going to get bored.
Yes.
And it's like I get that fear because I post a clip up every week before I put the episode out.
Yeah.
And it's like I get that fear people are going to get bored. And I'm like, actually no, I don't really fucking care because this is our thing. This is what we put out and it's what we do. And it's a sign of the times, isn't it? It's like this isn't the 1970s. You're not going to put out a record and then end up playing like the Hippodrome next week. This is not. This is a very different time. This is a very different time.
It's that thing of I think it's great because I think social media is amazing because it means you can get bands that no one would have heard of in front of people.
Yeah,
incredible.
Literally.
But then there's also that thing of I feel like it sometimes feels almost at odds with itself because you're right. You feel like, oh man, am I like? You're worried almost about what like other people might think of your posts and things like this. It's like, well, we're doing like rock music or like
like well, if you want us to, this is our thing. Okay, go away. If you don't like it,
exactly.
Fine.
It seems really weird. You have like when you like obviously you always have that fear of like, oh, is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
People gonna like it. People gonna like this music and stuff. But I feel like that's the whole reason why like we play like loud fuck off music because it's like we don't really give a shit. And then you're sitting there being like, oh, is that the right filter for this post? It just feels really
it doesn't matter. I mean, I like putting the effort in because I genuinely, and this is the reason why I host the show, I like chatting shit as a human. It's like I love sprucing up captions. I love putting out things. It's fun. Like I love editing things. But again, like I know that's not the crux because there's only so much you can put across with a picture, and it's like it's one thing to witness on a phone screen. It's another thing to be there in the presence of like a gig setting, which is very hard to do right now. But it's like it's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the horn. It's not the bag. It's not.
I think I saw it on like I think it was on like the AF gang or someone posted it like.
Oh yeah.
Never been so excited to have a cup of piss thrown at me. Like, do you know what I mean? Of like that, mattered with it. Like you want that weird viscera you get with a gig of that like
totally
feel it more than it just being like you're hearing it. That's not to say there's been some awesome stuff going on. Did you hear about like this Block by Block West thing?
No.
So essentially, these guys put together. I think like it was supposed to happen like in around April, but I think it got moved to May. I need to check if it actually went ahead, but I think Idols were due to play it. And it was basically like South by Southwest, but they built it in Minecraft. And the idea.
Oh yeah.
And you'd run around in it, and you could just go on a Discord, and you just hear the bands. They were playing all the bands, and then they had like tents. You could click on like a T-shirt, and it'd take you to that band's page. You could support the band.
Oh mate,
that's cool, man.
That's awesome. That's really cool, actually.
Getting around the sort of weird pandemic.
It's like that. Did you see that Travis Scott thing he done in Fortnite?
Yeah.
That was. I'm not a Fortnite fan by any regards. I don't play it. But I watched it on YouTube and I was like, that's so cool. That's so cool. This is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a video game. Like, it's the most surreal. It looked great. Mm-hmm. It was just him performing songs like this balmy, like just back. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It was cool. I'm enjoying how we're still thriving even in this time.
Yeah.
It's so important. Like even if we're not writing or recording.
I think that's the truth of it, isn't it? It's that it's always great to see like people come up with really creative ideas around stuff. Like you'd think that something like this would be such a like suffocation of creativity because everyone's kind of stuck in their own bubbles. But some of the stuff people are doing and like giving away or helping each other achieve is awesome. Like being able to use stuff like this to have these conversations or do like live sessions and perform for people, even though we're in this really like segregated time. Do you know what I mean? It's like the bit that keeps you going, I guess.
It does inspire truly. Like it's just kind and it's friendly and it's safe, but also like it just really reinforces that sense that like we're not going anywhere regardless of what happens to venues or whatever, because they're still under threat a lot. But it's like we will find a way to worm somehow our way onto stages, and we're all going to wait patiently, and we're all going to pull each other up.
Spring. I'm hoping there's going to be like it's going to explode. It's going to go mad.
Oh, dude!
It's like everyone's going to be craving it so bad.
Dude, it's going to be, God, man. The thought of that's another thing. The thought of just those first gigs, playing or watching.
Yeah,
like,
it's going to be great. Yeah.
I mean, again, like I'm in the AF gang as well. I can't wait to have that cup of piss thrown at me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I can't wait for that. I can't wait to get drop kicked in the skull. Like usually, like in the normal world, when I get drop kicked in the pit, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? If I get drop kicked 3 months time, I'm like, thank you so much, thank you. Yeah, it's just like my shakes are gone, like my withdrawals are gone. Like I'm over the addiction now. Like I'm back on the addiction even. Like just get back into it. Like
it is just such a surreal time, I think, and
totally.
Yeah, I guess it's like with anything. If you wait that long, it's gonna be fucking good, man.
Fucking good. I've always been scared, especially since the start of lockdown. I've been saying this to other bands I've had on. I'm scared of the suffocation of it all, like the actual all the constant moving, all of this like the now everything. Yeah. But also I'm pretty sure, because generally I'm quite like an anxious person, but I feel like after the first few rounds, everyone's going to be so into it, and everyone knows. Even though we all were saying now on the internet, "Oh, I can't wait to get fucking cunted," all that shit. It's like we're going to do that, but also we're going to look out for each other. Yeah. I know that. Like we got good people in our scene, and it's going to be awesome. So
Oh, sorry.
No, I'll cut you off. No, you're going to say something. You got to.
I love it. It's very, very British video. It's like, oh no, sorry.
Oh no, sorry, darling.
But yeah, like you say, I think we are quite lucky, especially around here, that we're like almost the scene's coming back.
Totally.
And there is this kind of everyone looks out for each other and supports each other and knows each other, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's so. I mean, like I was going to bring this up later, but now you mentioned the scene, I'm going to bring it up now. I mean, fuck, we got a great one in Watford alone, through to St Albans and like Berkhamsted and Hemel. Like Watford alone, I'm thinking Gold Key, Lioness. I mean, you can't not mention Gallows. You can't not mention Gallows still. Fuck me. Like past and present and future Gallows, whatever they're going to do, you can't not.
Yeah.
Atlantis, Shikari.
Shikari, yeah, exactly.
Like St Albans, but yeah.
It's always been it's been a weird thing for like us as a band. I almost feel like you might even remember, because I think like back in the school days, I almost felt like when I was first cutting my teeth, like being in bands and stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of went in this dip. So we hit you'd be watching like Shikari and Gallows on like Kerrang and Scars and be like, oh my god, this is great. But then no music department at all at the time. It was like just void of any kind of music department.
So, I mean, I knew you through Comic Club back in Marlborough. That's when I first met you. Fucking Comic Club, mate. That was the savior of my year 5. No, year 5. What was it? Year 9 or 10? Not year 5.
Year 9.
Year 9. Comic Club. My god, that was the best. Working on Bleach.
Yeah.
Well, what room were we in? A7. A7.
I think so. Yeah, because it was our
Aristotle building.
I think basically there was this initiative that I think like the head of Sixth Force gave out being like, you have to do something that supports the like rest of the school, like give back to the community. Yeah. So we basically hatched this plan that was essentially a way of us getting around having to really do anything, and it was essentially we just were like, people can tell them if they want, do what you want, kind of for now. We're gonna like read comic books and listen to music. It was like,
It was cool.
It was cool, man.
It was so cool. I remember I first got into Yu-Gi-Oh through that. That was the first time I got into it. Like proper brought like the cards and learned how to do it. It was good fucking times.
I really liked the fact it was just like anyone could turn up and bring like, I have this thing I like. Do you want to? And we were sort of like, yeah, man.
Yeah. It wasn't suffocating. It was like one day we talk about Muse, next day we talk about Captain America.
Yeah.
And then next week we'll talk about fucking like again something like Bleach or something like that.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a cool
I think it was in that comic club that I once danced so hard to Lionel Richie I split my jeans. So
I don't remember this.
You
got to elaborate now. You got to elaborate. You can't just say that.
I mean, so Dancing on the Ceiling came on. So what was I going to do?
Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah.
And I think as a joke, I tried to do like some sort of move or like kick in the air, and just completely split my trousers.
You know what? I'm not even going to laugh at that because that takes determination and bravery to like, put yourself out there.
I'm not sure I took any of those things.
Well, you do. You were a front man of the band. And also, you had no shame in a room full of people like us to fucking just go ham to Lionel Richie. Like, one does not simply stand still when Dancing on the Ceiling comes on. Yeah. One has to commit to that. That's a commitment. It's an oath, and it's a truth that you must dance. And if you split the jeans, it's just a sign that you really care.
I think
in a gig setting.
Anything, if you haven't split your jeans dancing to Lionel Richie, you're not doing it properly.
You're not doing it right. No,
exactly.
You're not doing it right. If you're not getting a couple of piss thrown at your idols, you're not doing it right.
Right.
If you haven't split jeans on Richie, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Was Bearheads your first band formed out of Comic Club? Because I remember you played a few times at M-Fest. That's when I saw you when I was really young.
Yeah, like originally, like I was in a band called Peach. That was the band. That was sort of the like, right, we're going to do like covers and sort of like, here it is, like you will play instruments, let's just stick ourselves together. And then out of that, it was then Trilo, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then that was sort of like my first foray into like actually almost like not doing it properly, but as in like writing your own music, recording stuff, like putting it out there, sort of giving it a go. And that was pre going to uni. And then just when it got to like uni, I found that I was sort of the only one doing any sort of the band stuff. Like I was sort of like, there's 4 people in the band and I was doing 4 people's worth of like getting gigs and trying to do all this. So I sort of got a bit sick of that. And then Bearheads was then at uni, obviously, because Trilo sort of disbanded.
Oh, right.
And like, I need to do this again. I can't not be doing this. Properly. It was like, so I wrote like just a few songs and was like, okay, we'll see how this goes. Pretty much the same kind of stuff anyway. And then just chatted to my stepbrother, who's in the band now, Joe. And he was like, yeah, man, let's do it. So as soon as I finished uni, basically, we went into his like flat and just like hammered through some songs and then spent ages just trying to find people, because I feel like weirdly, like because obviously like a lot of people are scattered everywhere and we didn't have anyone like that could play the drums. Essentially, we knew like guitar people, we didn't have any drummers. And then we just put an ad up and then got some people in, and then Bearheads became the thing.
That's so cool. It's luck, I think. I mean, again, that's another great thing with social media and internet. You can just find people like that, and then sometimes you get really lucky, and they just end up really contributing and being part of like the noise. Yeah. Like really part of like that bubble you want to portray. And like, was it always crystal clear what you wanted with Bearheads? So when it comes to like the writing and the sound, was it always like a thing you wanted to do? Or
I think like just when I play the guitar, I can't help but want it to go like I I always I'm like, do you know what? I'm gonna try and write like a nice like a more like chill tune or whatever. And I start writing it, and it's inevitably I'm like pedal, like pedal, and then start making it go a bit mad. And I think sort of Joe bought into that. We both were into similar music. He showed me a lot of music like when I was growing up and stuff. So we've always been into similar bands and that similar sound. So when we were going to be in a band together, it was like, yeah, let's make it real loud, and then hopefully other people will get into that. We did basically like, it sounds weird that we had like an interview process for Bearheads, but it was just going for a pint with people.
That's the best way.
because we were like, if we're going to trap ourselves in a soundproof room with someone for like 4 hours, I kind of want to have a beer with them first.
Yeah.
And thank God we did for some people. Like, oh wow. Like, just, we had some like proper shockers, like just really bizarre people. Like, I remember this, like, one guy turned up. We were sort of like, so, you know, like fairly standard question. So what kind of music are you into? And he said, oh, I don't really listen to music.
I think that could be interesting.
I was like, okay.
But you're a musician at the same time. It's interesting, but what?
Yeah.
What?
I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I play drums and piano. I was like, cool, but any kind of influences? And he sat there for ages. And I was like, nah. I was like, what?
That's intriguing to me more than anything. Like, that's very intriguing.
Who knows? Maybe it would have taken us in a completely different direction, and you
would have been a strange hybrid of jazz and like French flute.
Yeah.
Jazz. And like you'd be singing like someone like Enya or Bjork.
I'm not against this new band you've created here. I like this.
but you just cover dancing on the ceiling for half an hour.
Yeah.
Like a really long half-hour slow dance version dancing on the ceiling.
We don't create songs. We create like atmospheric sounds.
Yeah, you're like the Brian Eno of fucking of horns and gene splitting. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, we could call it jeans. That'd been great.
The split jeans. To be fair, I could actually work.
Goodness,
the split jeans. You'd sing like Bjork. Joe plays French horn and has one of those one-man band rigs. You know, like the fucking the what are these things called? This looks weird out of context.
Yeah, it does. I like this though.
What are they called?
Like an accordion.
Yeah, those accordion. Yeah, you know what I'm on about though, right?
Yeah. This looks weird.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna just copying the feel of myself. I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I mean, like, and also you fucking growl. On the opposite of a Bjork, you do growl a lot when you sing. Yeah, it's crisp as well.
Thanks, man.
It's so crisp. Like, does that not like? Did you do vocal training? Because I'm curious. Because you do it near enough all the time. Like, was it like proper? Do you have to like knuckle down to like know how to not completely wreck your voice?
I mean,
I wouldn't expect it from you. That's why I'm asking. I know it's quite like not generic to ask about like a vocal style. But like, I just did not expect it from you on the first listen. That was so cool to hear.
It's funny. A lot of people say that because like a lot of people who know me, like friends and stuff, whenever they hear like Bearheads stuff, they're like, "Is that you?" Because obviously, how I sound now isn't particularly like
not. Yeah.
quite a like high pitched, almost squeaky voice. So yeah, I can imagine people being like, "What the fuck, man?" But yeah, it was a weird one. So when we did like Trio, when I sort of first started out, I've always loved like the Foo Fighters and like.
I was going to say that sort of
role.
Yeah.
So that was always like my aspiration. Was like, oh man, I fucking like want to sing like that. Obviously hard to do, but I think what I found was that it's always just giving it a go. Just like weirdly, it's that thing of like once you make the sound once, you're like, oh okay, cool. And then it was a case of when I started doing it. It's quite easy to sort of like wreck your voice. So like when like remember doing like Trilo gigs and stuff, and then like the day after, like not being able to like talk much, had like a really hoarse voice, and I was like, oh, that probably isn't a good thing.
No.
At uni, I just basically like Googled like I was in Nottingham, was like singing lessons, sort of.
Please,
someone.
Someone.
Yeah. Like I went to this like this lady in Nottingham who was like sort of classically trained, which was weird because she didn't really like that kind of stuff. It was trying to be like, oh no, you shouldn't do that, it's bad for your voice. I was like, I'm definitely.
She was saying sing like Bjork, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. It's like I was like, well, if I can learn to do that, hopefully it'll at least like help. And it's sort of like getting the correct advice so that you can be like, well, I'm gonna listen to this bit, but not this bit kind of thing. And then it's sort of I think that helped sort of at least know when like, oh yeah, if that hurts, you should probably not do that. Do you know what I mean? And getting a sort of place when it works for you, I guess. But yeah, thanks, man. I'm glad it sounds good.
It does sound good. It does. See, I get high pitched voice as well. I just get voice breaks at the worst possible fucking time. What was that? Oh my days. I was watching. Do you know the reason why it came to mind? Literally just now, I was watching that 10 Seconds Songs guy on YouTube.
Okay.
Do you know about him? What's his name? Anthony, I think. He looks like Diego Montoya, who's doing Princess Bride, who does like
yeah. I do know.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And he was going through like bad vocal performances live.
Yeah.
And there was a clip he was sent of Freddie Mercury singing it might have been Under Pressure or Don't Stop Me Now.
Yeah.
On a live show in America, and it was right before around that time when Freddie was passing away, I think. And I could be wrong in that completely, but Freddie's voice got quite bad, and he sort of sung. I think it was Under Pressure, because you know that bit where he's like, "It's me high," like does that whole thing. Like, what he does is like before that bit, he tests the waters of his voice by like trying to go high, but makes it part of the song, so he knows when it gets to that point he can't do it.
Yeah.
So he changed it to a low note, but he still makes it work.
Yeah.
And he still makes it work, and it's so cool. Like,
I love that as well, because it's a thing of like, I think with people like Freddie Mercury is a great example of someone that has clearly is like fucking crazy talented.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you're going to be gigging every night, like sometimes it's just not going to play ball. Like it's almost like an instrument. Like if you don't look after it, and you've got like
it is an instrument. Yeah.
Guitar, it's not going to fucking sound great. So you've got to look after like your voice and your just body in general. I think for like you're going to be gigging that often. But yeah, it's just one of those things of like you just it's good to have the sort of advice, I guess, of like how to look after that. But yeah, one other thing I was thinking, a good example of obviously like you can do it too much and it not work is obviously that Puddle of Mud cover that came out recently.
That was also brought up in that video. That's so weird, because there's an old video from years ago of that guy doing that song.
Yeah.
At like an early Puddle of Mud gig, and he fucking nails it.
Yeah.
Like perfectly. And I have no idea what the hell brought him to do about a girl in this style. Like, it's horrible. I feel like they shouldn't have uploaded it, but I'm so grateful that they did, because for like a whole week, me and my friends would just call up at random times and just go, "Easy, friend." Like, oh god, and like it just cuts to the bassist and the drummer, and they're just going like,
yeah, that's sort of like deadpan stare of like
looking at each other, like, oh my god.
What's happened?
What's happened, man?
And I feel it's one of those things where almost like maybe like the first one, like the first line of the song went bad, so he's like, I'm going to double down now. It's like double or nothing.
Yeah, double or nothing.
Yeah.
And he's straining so hard, like you see it in his face. His face is turning red in that video as well. His veins are popping out, and he's really trying, but it's just.
I mean, who knows? But I feel like if you like whoever recorded that probably should have been like, like, do you guys want this to go out? But then equally, this is maybe going to be an internet sensation. So what do we do?
Well, like I think they put it out knowing that it was going to blow up for their own game, which I don't know if I respect or really hate them for.
Yeah,
like it's such a scummy move, but also thanks for that, I guess. Right now,
see that,
see that.
Like, I've always felt not sorry for Puddle of Mud. I don't really know how, like, because I remember when I was like younger and like nerdy on that, I was like, oh, this is like an alright tune. And it's like obviously as you go, you're like, oh, it is kind of like ripping off Nirvana, it's like close as it can be, but it is like not terrible, I guess. I mean, the Puddle of Mud gave me one of my first ever words growing up. Like I actually learned to say. Yeah. They taught me how to say fuck. Nice.
So you know she hates me, right? Yeah. So that's my dad had that album on CD, and it was always on in the car, and obviously on CD it's uncensored, and the videos are always on Kerrang and Scuzz, and and it was censored back obviously because it was the middle of the day. Music videos had to cut out so instead of she fucking hates me, it was just she hates me. And eventually, after a while of picking up from in the car to being in the house, I just sort of would go fucking just in between, and it was, and I'm so proud. I think fuck and I think lighty were my first words from a Sixth song, another Watford band. Sixth, like big up, like
big up.
Cheers Sixth for teaching me my first word, and cheers to Puddle of Mud for teaching me a swear word when I was like 2 years old. Thank you. I mean, speaking of
Puddle of Mud have got in recent years.
Unfortunately true. Unfortunately true. I mean, you're saying about like the people to sort of train you and pull you aside and sort of give you the good guidance. You were really lucky to have Steph Carter do EPs for you. And like I remember you put up clips. I mean, you're still like I can tell you're still just like so proud of that, and you should be. Like I remember you put up clips on your Instagram of like you recording in the room with Steph, like doing the guitars, and he's always going like, "Oh yeah, try that as a slide," or like put like that knob up a little bit more. And it's like, holy shit, that's a good producer.
I think like
how was that for you guys though, just to be in that, to instantly land that on your first EP alone?
Fucking great, wasn't it? Yeah. It was. I mean, for like me and my stepbrother, like we'd always loved Gallows, and like even like long before I wanted to even consider being like the front man in a band, I wanted to be a guitarist and like play guitar in a band. Yeah. So when I was growing up, like Steph Carter was legitimately like, oh my god, I want to do that. He's like the dude, man.
I want to play the Vulture Act 1 and 2 on guitar all the time. Like
I remember being at like Sonisphere in like 2011 and seeing them play that like humongous show and be like, oh my god, they're like the coolest people ever. And then like cut to like all these years later, he's like, oh man, like he's telling me what to do on the guitar. It's so cool.
It's so, I don't know him, I've never met him obviously. I'd love to gig with Lioness, holy shit. But I mean you've had that pleasure as well.
Yeah.
That's when I saw you guys. I think that's the first time I saw you in a long time when you supported them at the Black Heart.
Yeah, that was
Simulate and Poltergeist. That was a great night. I was so pissed. You talked to me and I was like just so out of it.
Yeah.
I had like 6 pints of Camden Hells and no dinner, and I was just like, "You all right, mate?"
What's happening? Yeah.
It was just.
I have to really like make sure I don't have too many pints like pre-show. Mainly the gas. They're just. Oh my god! If you have like, we did this gig in Welling, so I'm going to tangent.
No. I like this. I like this as a go.
This gig in Welling, and because we were on like. It's one of those gigs you know, like, now we'll just push it back until more people.
Yeah.
I remember it got to the point I was getting on for like 11:15, like nobody had played, and it was like, what is happening? And like, we finally like started playing, but we had like quite a lot of like just beer at this point, and you just floated and full. It's like
you don't want that.
Every line, it was just like lyrics, burp, lyrics, burp. It's just like kind of been nice to hear, but it was just slipping burps in between lyrics.
You're not going to do it again. Not going to do it again. Okay, good. Because I'm the exact same. I'm too scared to drink more than 2 beers at most before shows. Honestly, I'd only get myself a little bit tipsy, just a tiny bit. Because it's weird. Because obviously, like I mean, everyone gets this still, just the nerves. But it's like the moment you go out,
that's it.
Gone.
Okay.
Like it's fine. It's so weird. It's like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because like it's a half of, well, I'm here now, but it's a half of, oh, this is going to be fun. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I always think it's that like first song, like the bit that normally I'm just buzzing to play. Like I'm really excited to get out there and play. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, you're going, like say you're at the horn or whatever, and you're there and you're like plugging all your pedals in. It's like,
oh yeah, you're just like fucking plug socket, pedal, the amp on, shit. Like you're just like, and everyone's staring at you because it's just you going. And you've got to just run away to the green room.
Why isn't it working? Oh no, it's not working. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, everything's fine. Band, don't worry, the amp hasn't exploded. Yeah.
Dude, I remember at our first gig at the Horn as Rogues, I put my pedal board in the wrong way. So like, I put my output into the amp. I put the I connected my guitar to the last pedal of my thing, and I plugged my tuner into my amp, and I was just like, fuck. And I was so like, what's going on? And then my bassist was like, that's the wrong fucking way. In front of everyone, like 50 people, a Fleetwood Mac playing through the speakers for a walkout, and it was the most awkward thing. I was sweating so much. I learned a lot that night. Just fucking be aware of what you're doing in the panic.
I mean, the irony was you did have to break the chain of pedals to get that to work, I guess. Yeah.
No one has made that joke ever, and thank you so much for that. That was dude.
I feel like I'm a dad. I was such a dad.
No, I'm so happy you said that. That was so smooth.
I've got my lockdown dad bod. I've got
your lockdown beard, your lockdown hair.
I mean, I really wanted to grow a lockdown tash, but my girlfriend was like, no.
I know you had the tash when I met you at Lioness. Yeah.
I did it in November for Movember. And at that time, because I hadn't cut my hair, I basically looked like Ned Flanders. So that was a questionable look. But then, yeah, like afterwards, cutting it, I miss him. It's just, oh well. Anyway,
I've got an attachment to this now. I keep stroking it. It's weird. It's like a habit. It's my first ever beard. Like in videos, I'm always going like fucking Obi-Wan in episode 3. He's going just like stroking it, and I see why now. It's like like just thinking like that, and I see why. It's just nice to do. It's really weird.
Yeah,
really, it's a bad habit. But like working with Steph, I would love to do at one point. Like,
it's awesome.
It's just.
I think the thing is as well, like obviously, like for us, it was like, you know, we were gonna work with Steph from Gallows. Like, oh my god, he's just the loveliest guy. He's such a nice, and just like great fun to hang out with. Like, we were really lucky. Like when we did that, the first EP, it was like just before they sort of opened up Hempstead Road, like after they like refurbed it and stuff. There's like the studios. So he was like, "Oh, just coming over the summer, and we'll just like bang it out." So we were just there like 4 days straight, just hanging out and like just working on it, and it was so much fun just to hang out with like a legend essentially, and just get to like
like a local heavyweight for sure, undisputed.
Yeah,
and he's just so humble about it, especially now on Lioness. He's so happy just to still be a guitarist, but like really contribute and push other people up, especially like you guys. But also, you mentioned Hempstead Road. I didn't go to this gig, but I think it was. I remember because I was supposed to go. It was you guys, Love Buzz, Ill Informed, and Fiends, right? Like that was it the launch show, which is just it was just like a showcase, and it sounded so cool. It looked cool as well.
Yeah, it's just like stuff like that has been like, I think what Steph's done in terms of Hempstead Road and the opportunities he's given to local bands is like fucking amazing. Like, I think that's almost the thing I was most impressed by. It was almost like how many awesome bands have like come out of the area now, because there's that sort of like melting pot of like knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Like, loads of people are coming out. It's just awesome to have. I feel like we, like when I was at school, or like when I had even the option to go to college, like, there was nothing really like that. Like,
there was
no
especially
real
at Marlborough, there wasn't really a proper. I mean, it was like you guys, and then it was like Casper, and people like Miles, but like a few other musicians who are like students, our friends. But like there wasn't, other than like charity reviews and M-Fest. M-Fest is a big deal for, I guess, for that. But like there wasn't really a lot of room, literal physical room in like the studios for that.
Yeah.
But everyone made do, and it was cool. It came out of the guys, and it led to bigger and better things. So
it was like, it's that weird thing of like at Marlborough, at least like the good thing was they were all like, the teachers were really encouraging to be like, oh, you're doing this, you should just do it. But then there's that moment you do like a charity review, and you've got like some people doing like comedy, some people like doing a dance to Rihanna, and then we play like White Limo, like right in the middle.
I remember that. I was buzzing. I was so buzzing.
Yeah, weirdos. We were like, screw it. Do it
I was happy. My mates were weirded out. I was very happy with that. I was very, very happy about White Limo. I still remember that. That was awesome to me. Thank you for that.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, I think that was the weird thing of like what I love about sort of like everything going on about like West Arts and around the areas. Now you've got the Horn, and you've got like O'Neill's, like these places that are putting on like showcases and like getting people to organize gigs, and sort of almost reminding people that music is like your thing. It's not just something that you are sort of passive to, and it's like, well, there's these people over here that are like smashing the dream kind of thing, and then there's us. It's like, no, actually you can create your own kind of scene and just do it for you guys, like, you know, you like, make music for you by you, and that's really fun. Like, and support your mates' bands, and then like go see your mates' bands, and like that's wicked, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it is. Like I was saying to a few episodes ago, might have been like a month ago now at this point, by the time this comes out, I had Bison Face on. I'm really good mates. Yeah, I'm really good mates with them. Like me and Ernie get along great, me and Al, and they were on, and I was saying how like when I first saw Bison Face, it both scared me in a good way, to the point of, oh fuck, should I do this? But also it was like so inspiring because it was local people who I didn't know yet, but also like people like you, or like mates like Wink, who are like my mates. And I can go, oh wow, these are like, again, I don't want to say heroes. I feel like heroes is quite like a word for it, but like inspirations as people in my life who are closer to me than the likes of like I don't know Damon Albarn or like a Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
For me to go, oh, I can actually give this a go too and just have fun, even if no one really pays attention. This is the coolest thing ever.
And I think we're really lucky, like in terms of our scene of like how many we're not all like no one's really treading on each other's toes. Like everyone
Totally
is like,
not.
Which is really nice of that. Everyone's really sort of unique and doing their own thing and really supportive of each other. Like, and we played like the Empty Events guys did like the Goat in the Garden festival.
Yes.
And that was awesome fun. It was like you've got Casper doing like the blues, then you've got Violet doing this awesome like hybrid jazz stuff. Then you've got us up the middle just screaming my face off. And it's like it was fun to have us hang out with all these different people that are all doing these awesome things. And it'd be like
events are great.
This is cool.
They make it work. They do book well. Like they do really make it work.
Yeah.
I was so late to the to like especially just the Watford scene alone because I didn't really go to the Hall until I was 17. Like I was very late. Wasn't sheltered. I was aware of it for people like Casper and my mate Luke and all that, but I never really went to any gigs or anything. I'm not really sure why. I feel like an idiot now for not doing it because I missed a lot of great things. But my first proper gig, and I was made aware of this of the Flag back when it was the Flag being a venue because my mate Dan used to run like punk hardcore nights, like 3-day benders there. Like it put up like any punk band possible, and I wish I went to one of the bashes again because they look so fun.
Yeah,
just like ska punk, hard punk, all the punk possible. So I knew there was a punk scene. And then I was turned on to Gallows, and my first proper gig, my first proper gig was at the Flag, and it was Low Atlantis, Nervous, and the Hell. And I might have been Nervous's first gig, actually, one of their first gigs. But that was like my eyes fucking opened a little bit that night because I knew Low Atlantis.
Yeah.
But because like they were popular, they were playing on local radio like Vibe, but also they were playing Reading and Leeds the next day because it was during the summer. They were pretty high up on the bill, so I was aware of them. But the Helen Nervous, never heard of them. Nervous, I love. Emily's a great singer and frontwoman. They're fun. They can go hard.
Yeah.
They bring awareness to great topics as well, like just transgender presence in music, and that it's still there and it's valid and it's so important to like discuss and to witness. It's so powering, especially now that Emily's in Milk Teeth. She's in Milk Teeth. Yeah, and and then obviously the Hell is the Hell.
Yeah.
And I just had no idea what the fuck was going on. One of them came out on a hoverboard, and they got a song about how Watford's the shittest place in the universe, but I love it anyway. And it was I brought a shirt instantly, fell in love. And and it was the first time I broke a sweat at a gig as well, because any other gigs I went to were like arena gigs like Linkin Park, and that was the first gig where it was like, here's the floor, here's the stage, here's everyone else. Hold on to your drinks, lads.
Yeah.
Like. And that was a moment for me.
I think, like you say as well, I feel like for a while now, I almost feel like, especially for the noughties, it might have just been my own sort of like ignorance of not being able, like being the right age to see certain bands. But beyond Shikari or like, I was sort of at the time like would have been too young to see like say like Gallows or Shikari at like small venues. But then like so when I got to like came with the age when I could actually be in bands, it was like every band I knew was like arena size or like a local band. And I feel like I always was sort of like, not jealous is the wrong word, but basically my stepdad's from Newcastle. Right. And he was saying he remembers like the venues there, you'd get bands that like would come through like Tyneside and go through like Newcastle. So you'd get like The Jam and like Billy Bragg and like all of these bands that are now like mega legends. They're like built the music industry. But at the time it was like, they're just like this little band called The Clash. And it's like you go see them, they're supported by like The Jam. It's like, who are these people? And then go on to like redefine how we see a lot of like punk now. And it's like it's crazy. And you think that's why I think it's so awesome to be able to go and support small local bands. Because you don't know who's going to be the next. Like,
you never know.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
you never know. But also that shouldn't be the motivation. You should go to a gig to go to a gig.
Yeah.
Like, you should never go. I mean, I know a few people that were like, oh, I want to go to this thing, but I only want to go just in case they get big. And like I say, I've been there. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Just go support them. Because they're probably not, obviously, like we all think about playing the big shows and going back to start writing the album of the year or whatever. Yeah. But it's like, right now, in the now, before this, we're just like, let's play a gig in a pub. Let's have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And we want you to have fun too. And that's all we want. Like,
it's that thing, isn't it? I think as well, like often I find what's quite interesting, so many people are quick to follow like what is like in vogue kind of thing. If you think like famously, like Led Zeppelin were torn apart by the music press. They were like,
yeah,
whatever. And it's like they've literally defined like a generation of music. And you think,
yeah.
I think it was that at when like Idols played Glastonbury last year, and like they were saying like we were told we were too like mainstream, like we were too boring, we were too like all these things. It's like, do the thing you want to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't let other people sort of like make you do something because that's what's the cool thing, because they might be wrong. You know?
Yeah.
It's all
especially, right? Especially for a band like Idols. Like, again, that Glastonbury performance, there's that bit where they're not playing and Joe, and they're just staring out and everyone's just screaming. He's just there like, oh. Like, it's one of those moments where like I still watch it now and I get goosebumps because he just goes, thank you. That's all you can say. Just thanks.
Yeah. Like I was super lucky that for Christmas like a couple of years ago, my girlfriend got us tickets to go see Idols in Luxembourg.
Oh wow!
So it's magical ability.
Dude,
yeah. I'm saying it's magical ability. It's basically like to know people who are awesome but not know that they're awesome. So, for example, the first anecdote is that she once had a friend, like she's from Bristol, so one of her like school friends, was like, oh, like my cousins live in like Wales. Do you want to come and like stay at my like cousin's house for one of the rest? Okay, cool. Yeah. They went out there, like had fun, and then basically when they were with their cousins, one of the cousins was like, oh, I'm gonna knock on my like friend's door and see if she wants to go out and play. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. She knocks on the door, and this friend's older brother's there. And he's like, oh, hi, who you here for, kind of thing. And it's like, Emily. It's like, Emily, like, this friend comes out. And then Susie was telling me, Susie, my girlfriend, she was like, spent the whole, like, weekend playing with these friends, and then came back from the trip to her parents' house.
Yeah.
I can't remember how they got into the conversation, but basically it turned out that this Emily girl's surname was Dean Bradfield, or Bradfield. So essentially,
okay.
She was the younger sister of James Dean Bradfield from the Manic Street Preachers.
Fuck me.
It was like she had met this person, had met James at the door, and because he was just visiting or whatever. Didn't know. Just was just like, yeah, whatever. And then weirdly enough, like she's really good mates, or was really good mates when they were at school with John Beavis from Idols.
Oh, dude.
So it was like this.
One of the best drummers.
It's amazing, like, and she's like, it's like really surreal. Like she basically, I remember like one morning was like, oh my god, my friend's band are on Jules Holland. I was like, what?
What?
She was like, oh yeah, this band. I was like,
what do you mean?
Like, what? And then I think as well, like, yeah, she went to uni with someone who, with essentially Becky from Milk Teeth as well.
Oh.
I'm like, how many people do you just know? It's like, it's just weird, like, it shows how like a small world it is.
One of my work friends used to hang out with Frank Carter all the time back when, I think even before Gallows really started. A few people I know used to be like hang out with Frank and Steph, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I went clubbing with Frank one time, you know, Shiana or some shit like that before it was Prism, and it was just like, what the fuck?
It's crazy. Yeah, I think I there's part of me that always thinks that I love that though. Like I like the fact that it reminds you that we're sort of all in this together as like people. Like these are just people that have lives, and that I almost think people get carried away. Like you said, like, oh, I really wish I'd seen them before they got like massive. It's like, no, like you want to go see them do the thing they love doing because they're like someone you care about and you want to support. And I think that's like that's the real heart of it. I think is that
is
you want to support your pals.
And it's so golden. Going back to your original point at the start, it's still here now, even in this lockdown. Whatever. I don't know where we're gonna be when this video goes out, because it's, what date is it today? It's the 28th, right? Yeah. I don't know when this is going out per se, and that frightens me that this will be a reference point back at this point in the future. It's so weird. It's a reverse Groundhog Day, if anything. But like, but it hasn't been squashed. I don't think it will, and that's so good to see. I'm so grateful for everyone in this.
Yeah, exactly, right. We are lucky that we've got like awesome people in the area. Stick your neck out for it, right?
Yeah. It's just it just warms my heart and it keeps us going. Because Because, dude, like, I think especially now, like where words fail, like music will always like prevail. You know, I think Josh Homme said that.
Yeah.
It's like
Yes,
it's not only in artistic expression, but also if you're not a band member or whatever, just listening to it, like that's my language, that's my gospel, my Bible, whatever. You know, like, and we're not going to shift for anyone. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things. What I like about music, it's always like there's a sort of there's a primal element of it that we've always had music. Like it was one of the first ways people were able to communicate. Was like messages with like drums and that, and it's like it's amazing that this it's such a core part of like the human experience of like music and that like you hear we used to tell stories with like folk songs and stuff. That was literally how we told like Beowulf and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's this awesome part of like a shared experience. And I think it's cool that we can all be part of that. Everyone should try it.
Everyone should.
Even if you don't think musical, just do it.
Do it. Start singing like Bjork and get you a French horn and join us on the dance floor and split your jeans.
Yeah, split jeans.
We're waiting for you, people.
You better go first.
We're waiting for you. We're all waiting for you. Before I boot you off, because we have come up with a good amount of time talking now. Holy shit, this has been great. This has been awesome. Thank you, man.
Fun, dude.
This has been awesome. Do you have any music to suggest people listen to right before you go? Like any artists, album tunes, anything? What's been your go-to like this lockdown?
So the new Strokes album.
That's the fourth mention of this on the show.
So good.
This is I don't even care. Oh my god.
It was
still not bored of it.
I felt like it was the perfect album for now in a weird way because the fact that you even called it the new abnormal. It's like, how did you know?
How did you know this is gonna happen?
And then beyond that, like the National are slowly becoming one of my like favorite.
Oh, dude. I only got into them now very recently because one of our prior guests, Will from Anyone's Ghost, his favorite album was Trouble Will Find Me. I think it's his favorite album, and I listened to the National for the first time the other week, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, because I know you had him on, and like there were Ghost, and I was like, is that named after the National song? Like, it must.
Oh, is that why?
I was like, is it? I wasn't sure, but like,
I didn't ask him that. I've never asked him that.
There's a National song called Anyone's Ghost, which is they're just great, and I feel like there are bands that weirdly. I remember seeing them for the first time, basically at Glastonbury before the Foo Fighters. Basically, we wanted to go see the Foo Fighters, as you would, and the National on the main stage. And I like some of my friends were like, "Oh, should we just sit here and have some beers?" I was like, "No, there's this band called National. I've heard like one song. I think we should go check them out." I remember me and my mates were just like proper like mouth wide open, like eyes open. Like, oh my god, like these guys are amazing. And yeah, I haven't looked back since. They've taught me how to feel again.
Okay, now that you said that, I think I'm going to listen to more of them now, other than Trouble Will Find Me. I'm definitely going to listen to more, because they are, I've listened to Boxer before, but that was ages ago. But Boxer, Trouble Will Find Me, I know everyone said that Sleep Well Beast was like one of the best records of the last decade. Everyone said it was just horrific.
My favourite is High Violet, which is the one before Trouble Will Find Me. And it's weird because like the first half is like really somber, but it builds to this like crescendo at the end. So you weirdly feel like you can just listen to it on a loop forever because it kind of nicely plays back into itself. But yeah, they're fucking rad. Love them.
Fuck yeah. I just love how everyone talks about the Strokes on here. I don't get mad. I don't care because it's a great album. So good.
It's
good. It's like it works so well. It works perfectly as a Strokes album, but it can exist as well outside of the Strokes, but still be Strokes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
it kind of reminds me of like I really liked the last Arctic Monkeys album.
I was just about to say it exists in its own.
It's like it could be in like Alex Turner like solo album, but it works. And I like the fact that like same with like the new Abnormals, it feels like a whole album. I feel like people don't, it's not as, because obviously the way Spotify works now is people put out singles in single and then collate them. Whereas I like the fact the new Abnormal feels like it's an album, like it's
literally
final, like start to finish, has a goes places, takes you places. I think it was so good. 9
tracks, 45 minutes long.
Pow.
Dead on. Like every song is like 4 or 5 minutes in length, and it just all of it. Yeah, I'm not bored of it. I'm not bored of it. I listened to it about 30 times now. I texted Aidan, my guitarist, the other night at like 2 a.m. I was like, this is my 30th time listening to it. I'm currently on the end of Ode to the Mets again. How is this still not shit? Like,
right.
How is this? They didn't have the right to do this.
Yeah, you're just still there, like, oh,
Just,
yeah.
That and that little solo in Selfless.
Yes.
That little fuzz solo, just.
Yeah. Well, I love like the organ bit in like At the Door.
Oh yeah.
Oh, all the feels, man.
And like I didn't like it at first, but I really warmed to Eternal Summer, like that sort of Talking Heads, Tame Impala sort of just like madness.
It's
just, oh, dude, I'm listening to that album again as well as National. Then, okay, you got me back on it, dude.
Yeah. I think that almost like I'm not sure how we're doing for time, but like almost.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
But it's one of those things. I feel like what I've always thought music-wise, even if you make a type of music, I almost don't exclusively listen to that music because it doesn't necessarily create more great stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was on like the Sound City documentary and I
watched that for the first time the other night.
Good, isn't it?
Good shit.
Yeah,
real good shit.
I love there's this great like almost like Yoda moment when like I think Dave Grohl says to Paul McCartney like, oh, why isn't it always this easy? Paul McCartney goes, it is always this easy.
Yeah, it's the way he looks at him. It's like, it is always this easy. And there's like it just holds him looking at Dave like, it's always this easy. That is so cool. That whole bit where it's Homme, Grohl, and Reznor doing Mantra in the studio, and it's just like, what the fuck?
So good.
And they're just so like they're mates.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
Doing.
But yeah, I think there's a bit in that where I think it's the drummer from Rage Against the Machine says like he recommends like if you listen to a band, don't just listen to other bands like that. Listen to the bands that they listen to.
Yes.
Because you end up just getting further and further back until you essentially realise everyone was listening to the Pixies and the Talking Heads, and then it's like
that's the thing. That's exactly the thing with Strokes. It's like if you go back to the Strokes, you're gonna find out that everyone listened to Velvet Underground.
Yes.
And Television and like listen to Rogues Gallery. It's just Queens of the Stone Age and like Arctic Monkeys. And with you guys, it's Foo Fighters and Gallows. Like it's everywhere. And from there on, you're gonna find things like Foo Fighters again, or like Slipknot, and then like maybe I don't know, like Birthday Party or Nick Cave or something like that.
Yeah.
Like. And suddenly there's like this whole plethora, and it's waiting for you, and that's so exciting in everything.
Like, I always like the idea that, like, after having got into the National like fairly recently, of that like you might still not know who your favorite band is, and that's just so cool. Like,
I don't think I'm ever gonna know. I don't think I'm ever gonna know. I remember I got into what do you call it? When I got into Frank Carter. That's how I found out about like things like Nick Cave and stuff like that. And then when I heard Let Love In, one of their albums for the first time, I was sitting in bed listening to it, and I was just like playing Call of Duty, and I just sort of went, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, I just had a moment where I was just like, and for like 2 weeks, I would not shut up about this album from the 90s because it's just like, I think that was the moment where I was like, I put the pen down, and I was like, okay, no, I'm going to give this a go, because it was like. Frank Carter, seeing Queens of the Stone Age live, seeing Frank live, and then listening to Nick Cave, I was like, oh, I want to give this a go now.
Yeah.
I want to give this a go. I want to try.
I think that's the best thing about music is just like you'd think, given a lot of music is like the same construction of instruments, like you've got drums, bass, guitar.
Yeah.
The variety that people create is still like baffling to me because I always think like. How many notes are there on like? But obviously, science, so it doesn't work like that. But it's just awesome. I think it's great that anyone can pick up an instrument and just completely like change the way you look at it. It's crazy.
Like you'd be surprised how many open note riffs you can still write or yet to write.
Exactly.
With all the slides and dead notes and bends you can think of, there's still endless possibilities. Because when I first started, I was like. Shit, because I was new, I just kept hitting open E, like doing hammer-ons and shit, and I was like, "Fuck, I think I can't do this. I can't do this." And I was like, "No, it's fine. It's okay. You can find a way. You will find a way."
I think there's some of the best stuff is like, I always find stuff that's sort of over polished or like really well. Some stuff when it's really well produced and really well put together, it's amazing. But I always prefer stuff that's kind of like stuck together with like dreams and duct tape. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just hope, dreams, super glue.
Yeah. So one of my favorite albums is Pinkerton by Weezer, which is their like weird sort of like follow up to the Blue album.
Yeah.
I think it didn't get amazingly well received at the time, but they've like did Blue album. They were like, right, we kind of want to keep the same thing going, but here it is, but just even rawer. It's like crazy. It's just great.
I haven't listened to Weezer in a long time, but I remember really enjoying Green and Blue. I kind of like Ratitude. I kind of like that one in a way. But yeah, Pinkerton was a fun one for me. Pinkerton has that got Where's My Sex on, or was it I'm Tired of Sex?
Yeah, it's like Pink Triangle and like The Good Life and stuff, and it's like
Pink Triangle.
It hits home that they're like almost like a nerdy Beach Boys with louder guitars.
Yeah. And it's like the White album was pretty good too in 2015. That was kind of good. Like I'm
still baffled that it's still going. Like fair play, man. Keep on trucking.
Yeah, keep on trucking, Rivers. Like
keep it on
the other road. Oh, dude. Right. Thank you so much for coming on, though.
Thank you.
I know we could chat for a long time, but we have literally hit an hour mark. Holy shit, that's mad. That's powerful. That's power. Right, dude. Right. Thank you so much for this.
Take care,
See you, man. Take care. Yeah.
See you later, man. Have a good one.